Incentive Program. We are recording this request for applications webinar, and it will be posted on our GusNIP webinars webpage after this presentation is complete for anyone who would like to view the content again. Ryan, would you please bring up the slides? Thank you all very much for joining us. Next slide, please. I do want everyone to know that this is the RFA webinar for the Nutrition Incentive Program. If you want to tune in to the Produce Prescription Program webinar or the Training, Technical Assistance, Evaluation, and Information Centers webinar, those will be taking place on Friday and next Monday. But those are separate webinars or separate recordings if you're listening to this recording. The link that's shown here is where all of those RFA webinar recordings will be posted after they're all complete, if you want to revisit them. And if you have any questions throughout the presentation, you're welcome to enter them into the chat box immediately. Next. I want to begin by sharing with everyone the USDA non-discrimination statement and resources. Next, please. We've also shared this link in the chat. We certainly want to begin by acknowledging that none of this work would be possible at all without the excellent GusNIP team. We have many members with us here today and who will be presenting. Our presenters include Pascal Jean, Ryan Kornegay, and Stephanie Smith. Team members who are also here helping with logistics and answering questions include Beth Curling, Maria Crespo-Seshampo, and Summer LaRose. And then our FNS collaborator who's with us today and presenting is Gabrielle Sandler. And we are also joined by the current GusNIP Training, Technical Assistance, Evaluation, and Information Center staff, whom we call NTAE for short. And their speakers include Erica Rummel, Rachel Ho, and Holly Ann Fricky. Next, please. Ryan, some of you may want to take a screen capture of this slide. It contains the contact information for the program staff, right? NIFA program staff on the GusNIP team and NIFA grants management staff. If you have specific matching questions or budget questions, perhaps, as well as the shared GusNIP mailbox where you can reach both the Food and Nutrition Service GusNIP team and the NIFA GusNIP team. And those final two email addresses in the bottom left are to the technical assistance team for the GusNIP NTAE and the evaluation team for the GusNIP NTAE. And we'll also be providing this an additional time in the presentation. So this is an excellent resource for anyone. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn the rest of the presentation over to Pascal Jean.
Thank you, Mallory. Hello, everyone. As Mallory mentioned, my name is Pascal Jean, and I am a National Program Leader co-leading the GusNIP program. During today's webinar, we will cover the following topics. First, we will provide an overview of NIFA, program overviews, important details for the RFA and program evaluation process. Then our partners at FNS and NTAE team will provide additional information and resources. Next slide, please. Before we get started, here's a list of acronyms and initialism that we will be using during this webinar. Hopefully by the end, they will all make sense. Next slide, please. During this section of the webinar, I will provide general information about NIFA. Next slide, please. So what is NIFA? We are a federal agency that provides extramural funding for food and agriculture sciences. We were created during the Food Conservation and Energy Act of 2008, and we invest in supports initiatives that ensure the long-term viability of agriculture. In addition, NIFA provides funding and strategic leaderships for programs that ensure groundbreaking discoveries in agriculture-related sciences and technology. Next slide, please. Here's a list of the topics covered by all NIFA programs. The GusNIP program falls under the Food and Nutrition Security. Now we'll pass the presentation to Ryan, who will provide an overview of the program.
Thank you, Dr. Jean. Greetings, everyone. As Dr. Kane shared, I'm Ryan Kornegay, and I serve as a program specialist for the GusNIP program, and I'll be sharing with you the program overview. So let's start off first with sharing what is new in our FY 2023 RFA. And as you can see in the top right-hand corners, you can see what RFA page numbers this information correlates with. So starting out, the applications for this year are requiring that you all each have the applicants have a free 2023 RFA consultation of approximately 1 hour with the GusNIP NTAE and obtain a verification letter from the NTAE that you will include in your application as a addition. We also are asking that you provide we're also providing additional guidance regarding SNAP policy, specifically around the use of e-tokens when CSA payments may be accepted, and also distinctions between online ordering and the SNAP online purchasing pilot. The RFA also further clarifies that the bibliography and references cited is a required document for the application. It also further clarifies how to record total incentives in the budget justification. So as we talk about the Nutrition Incentive Program, the specific purpose is to bring together stakeholders from various parts of the food healthcare systems to foster an understanding of how they might improve the health and nutrition status of participating households. These funds this project is used to fund and evaluate projects intended to increase the purchase of fruits and vegetables by USDA SNAP participants in all 50 states, the District of Columbia, Guam, and the Virgin Islands, and the USDA NAP participants in Puerto Rico, American Samoa, and the Commonwealth of the Northern Marianas Islands by providing incentives at the point of purchase, and to specifically identify what fruits and vegetables are speaking towards in the GusNIP RFA. Fruits and vegetables are any variety of fresh, canned, dry, or frozen, whole or cut fruits and vegetables without added sugars, fats, or oils, and salt. So as we talk about the nutrition incentive priorities, the nutrition incentive priorities include to maximize the share of funds used for direct incentives to participants, the use of direct-to-consumer sales marketing to demonstrate a track record of designing and implementing successful nutrition incentive programs that connect SNAP and NAP participants and agricultural producers, providing locally or regionally produced and fresh fruits and vegetables, especially those culturally appropriate for the target audience, to include a project design that provides incentives when fruits or vegetables are purchased using SNAP or NAP benefits, and in which the incentives earned may be used only to purchase fruits or vegetables. We have demonstrated the ability to provide services to the underserved communities, projects that are including coordination with multiple stakeholders. They'll also offer supplemental services in high-need communities, including online ordering, transportation between home and store, and delivery services. Priorities also include food retailers that are open for extended hours or most or all days of the year, and also testing innovative or promising strategies within the limits of SNAP and NAP policy. And lastly, those that involve a diversity of types of firms, which may include convenience stores, supermarkets, or farmers markets. And so as we talk about the nutrition incentive priorities, those terms, underrepresented communities and underrepresented geographies. As we talk about those communities, that includes tribal communities, communities of color, LGBTQ plus communities, individuals with disabilities, veterans, rural and remote communities, insular areas, or residents under the federal poverty line. In terms of underrepresented geographies, this includes Alaska, American Samoa, the Commonwealth of the Northern Marianas Islands, Connecticut, Delaware, Guam, Idaho, Kansas, Kentucky, Maine, New Hampshire, North Dakota, Puerto Rico, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, the U.S. Virgin Islands, Vermont, and Wyoming. So let's talk about eligible entities and partners. To be eligible for the GusNIP Nutrition Incentive Program, you must be a nonprofit organization or a governmental agency. Institutions of higher education that are local, county, tribal, territory, or state government agencies must provide documentation in support of eligibility as a government agency. We are asking applicants to seek and create partnerships with the public. This is encouraged. Or private, nonprofit, or for-profit entities, including links with academic institutions. This includes minority serving, tribal colleges and universities, and or community-based organizations, tribal nations and local government entities, and or partnering entities for the purposes of providing additional resources and strengthening the historical failure in underserved communities. So now let's talk about the program areas of the Nutrition Incentive Program. There are 3 specific program areas in this program to include pilot projects, which are for new entrants at the early stages of nutrition incentive project development. This is an opportunity for smaller or less experienced organizations to propose projects that have smaller budgets and are less complex administration. There are also standard projects, which are new and established groups developing and evaluating nutrition incentive projects at the tribal, county, district, multi-county, territory, or statewide scope. And lastly, we have large-scale projects, which are multi-county, territory, statewide, tribal nation, and regional nutrition incentive projects with the largest audience of all nutrition incentive projects. Organizations in this category are not new to implementing nutrition incentive projects, and the projects will test and evaluate strategies and innovative technologies to inform future efforts. With regard to federal budgets and duration, you'll see the program areas are actually broken down into acronyms of FPP for pilot projects, FIP for standard projects, and FLSP for large-scale projects. So for pilot projects, they are to not exceed $100,000 up to 1 year. For standard projects, FIP, they are to not exceed $500,000 up to 4 years. And for our large-scale projects, FLSP, they are to be from $500,000 and $500,001 or more up to 4 years. Now on to program policy. As shared before, fruits and vegetables as defined in this RFA, fruits and vegetables are any variety of fresh, canned, dried, or frozen, whole or cut fruits and vegetables without added sugars, fats, or oils and salt. Now we'll also talk about the incentive models. So there are 3 specific incentive models that are outlined in the RFA for the GusNIP Nutrition Incentive Program. This includes fruits and vegetables for fruits and vegetables. This is this is when a SNAP or NAP participant purchases fruit or vegetables using their SNAP or NAP benefits, and then receives an incentive that is redeemable only for the purchase of fruits or vegetables. There's also any SNAP or NAP eligible food or for fruits and vegetable model, where SNAP or NAP participants purchase any SNAP or NAP eligible food using their SNAP or NAP benefits, and then receive incentives that are redeemable only for the purchase of fruits or vegetables. And lastly, the last incentive model is fruits and vegetables for any SNAP or NAP eligible food. This is where a SNAP or NAP participant purchases fruits or vegetables using their SNAP or NAP benefit, and then they receive incentives that are redeemable for the purchase of any SNAP or NAP eligible food. Now to give you a little bit more information on the GusNIP NTAE consultation. Specifically, as we shared earlier, all of the applicants for the GusNIP program are required to have a 1-hour consultation with our NTAE center. This will provide an opportunity for you all to get a consultation that will help in the process of your application. In the end of this process, you are required to share a letter of support in your application. The letter of support, or LOS, is required for all applicants in this process so that you can so there will be proof of your free one-on-one support consultation so that you can also review any common mistakes. To document the completion of the consultation, all applicants must include this verification letter from the GusNIP NTAE Center in your proposal. Now to share about the comprehensive evaluation. You are required to participate in the comprehensive evaluation for the process of the GusNIP program. You're also to collect a minimum core data set and collaborate with the Nutrition Incentive Program Training and Technical Assistant Evaluation and Information Center, our NTAE Center, and to contribute a minimum core data set to the NTAE. And just to give a brief overview directly to the breakdown of the comprehensive evaluation for these projects. For the pilot projects, process evaluation is the major requirement. This includes where you're required to participate in the comprehensive evaluation program. You're to conduct a project self-assessment and provide self-assessment data to the NTAE. For our standard projects, process and outcome evaluation is required. So you are required to participate in the comprehensive evaluation, to also collect minimum core data sets, collaborate with the NTAE, and contribute minimum core data sets to the NTAE. And last but not least, our large scale projects, which also are required to have process and outcome evaluation. You're also required to participate in the comprehensive evaluation, collect minimum core data sets, collaborate with the NTAE, and contribute with the minimum core data set to the NTAE. And now to give information for our state, our territory, SNAP or NAP agencies. To directly come through in your applications, a letter of support is required in your application. Applicants must submit a letter of support from applicable SNAP or NAP state or territory agencies, and it must explain the specific role of the agency, including any activities the agency is expected to conduct in support of the project. This includes identifying our SNAP or NAP participants and or sending them any correspondence related to the project. You must identify any state or territory agency systems, including EBT systems, and required to implement the proposed project along with an acknowledgement of who will bear the costs associated with any system changes if applicable. And so this is what your letter of support from your state or territory SNAP or NAP agency must include. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Jean for application details and documents.
Thank you, Ryan. Before we continue, I would like to remind everyone that all interested applicants should read the RFA. This webinar shares the core information in the RFA, but there is no substitute for the RFA itself. The RFA should be considered the primary reference document for this funding opportunity, and applicants should ensure that they have carefully read their RFA before beginning application. Now we're going to switch gear and talk about the application details and documents. Next slide, please. Applicants must apply to this RFA electronically. No other methods or response is accepted. The Part 3 of the NIFA Grant Application Guide contains detailed information regarding the grants.gov registration process. When applying for an award, it is important to reference the version of the guide that is included in a specific funding opportunity application package. Application documents must be in PDF to be acceptable by NIFA, including your narrative and budget justification. NIFTA does not allow other formats but PDF, even though grants.gov may allow it, and please do not use any third-party PDF builders. Next slide, please. Please note that for the GusNIP pilot project, applications must include a business plan that provides evidence, such as market analysis or outline of a management business plan that demonstrates how sustainable of the project will be achieved. If it is necessary, it should include a fiscal agent letter that then title the attachment as fiscal agent in the document header and save as fiscal agent. Include documentation of the application organization non-status as well. Appendices to the project narratives, make sure that the title is titled appropriately as appendices and it's included in the document header and saved as appendices. Appendices to the project narratives are allowed if they are directly useful for the proposed project. Do not add appendices to sidestep the page limit. In addition, application must provide specific program incentive information located in items 12, 14 in the appendix, and appendices are limited to 7 pages. Next slide, please. The project narrative must include information on this slide, also located on pages 28 to 40 of the RFA. Other project information include the project summary abstract, project narrative, which is limited to 10 pages, will be strictly enforced. Application exceeding the page limit will be returned without review. The evaluation section must include process evaluation or formative evaluation. It is strongly encouraged to include GusNIP comprehensive program evaluation core participant level and firm level metrics to be well positioned for future funding opportunities. Specific program and incentive information must also be clear. The project narrative must not displace current activities. It must be new or expand or enhance the project. Also, if applicable, reference lists and information on the facilities and equipment must also be listed. Next slide, please. For the GusNIP standard and large-scale project, application also needs to include a business plan that will provide evidence, such as a market analysis or outline of a management business plan to demonstrate how sustainability of the project will be achieved. If it is necessary, also include a fiscal agent letter. Similarly to the pilot program, make sure that it's titled fiscal agent and it's saved as fiscal agent, and also include documentation for the application organization non-private status here. Appendices to the project narrative should be titled appendices in a document header and saved as a file as appendices. Appendices for the project narrative are allowed if they are directly related to the proposed project, and do not add appendices to sidestep the page limit. Applicants may provide specific program incentive information. Similarly, items located in page 1 to 12 in the appendices, and appendices are limited to 7 pages. Next slide, please. The project narrative for the standard and large-scale program must include all the information on the slide. And has this particular one has a page limit of 15 pages, which will be strictly enforced. When writing the project narrative for standard and large-scale program, please make sure that the following are included: the project goal and intended outcomes, and the activities to achieve those goals, the relationship to GusNIP nutrition incentive programs, priorities, and purpose. The evaluation plan must include GusNIP comprehensive program evaluation core participant level and firm level metrics, specific programs and incentive information, as well as sustainability plan. Also, if applicable, reference lists and information on facilities and equipment must be listed. Next slide, please. Now that you have the information about the application details and documents, let's focus on the proposed evaluation process. Next slide. NIFA reserves the right to negotiate with the program director or program investigator and the submitting organization or institution regarding the project revision. Example, any changes in scope of work, adherence to SNAP or NAP policies, funding level, period of performance, or method of support, And all this must occur prior to recommending any project for funding. Next slide, please. This is the peer review process. First, the reviewers summarize how well the application addressed each evaluation criteria. After the application has been assessed for strengths and weaknesses of each criterion, the reviewers then evaluate an overall likelihood that the project will be a significant outcome and impact. These written reviews are used to begin panel discussion with other reviewers serve as peer panel reviewers. Through these discussions, peer review panelists come to consensus on the general rating and ranking of proposals. Next slide, please. The GusNIP pilot project evaluation criteria focus on proposals that are aligned with GusNIP Nutrition Incentive Program priorities, advancing purpose of the GusNIP Nutrition Incentive Program, the benefit to the community, the project goals, objectives, and intended outcomes, qualification of the organization involved in the project and the evaluation plan, and an appropriate timeline and budget. Next slide, please. The GusNIP standard and large-scale project evaluation criteria focus on the proposal alignment with GusNIP Nutrition Incentive Program priorities, advancing purpose of the GusNIP Nutrition Incentive Program, the benefit to the community, project goals, objective, and intended outcomes, qualification of the organization involved in the project, the evaluation and sustainability plan, and an appropriate timeline and budget. Next slide, please. Based on the past couple of years of application submission, listed here are the most common mistakes that are resulted in administrative declines without review. These include match that is not 101 or higher, budget justification that is not in PDF format or missing, applications submitted late, the bibliography is missing, the SNAP or not state territory agency letter for supporting is missing or not from an implementing agency, or it is outdated. Current and pending supporting document are missing, or the project narrative is not in the PDF format. I cannot emphasize this enough. NIFA does not allow other format, but PDF, even though grants.gov may allow them. Next slide, please. Please note the timeline of the competitive program. Funding notifications to typically 6 months after application due date. We will keep you updated as much as possible, but we appreciate your patience. Next slide, please. NIFA welcomes assistance ensuring our peer review panels have the required expertise while remaining inclusive, representative, and diverse. Interested individuals who are not applying to this funding opportunity may volunteer to serve as a peer review panels by providing their contact information and expertise. More information is available on the link here that will also be posted on the chat. Now I'll pass this presentation to Stephanie Smith, who will provide you with information about the administrative requirements.
Hi, good afternoon. I will be covering administrative requirements, including pre-award requirements, matching requirements, guidelines, definitions, and tips, indirect cost recovery, budget and justification, and the sub-award restriction. Next slide, please. Submission of applications in grants.gov includes certification of compliance to disclose lobbying activities. If in the event that lobbying activity applies, an SFLLL disclosure of lobbying activities form is required with your application. Next slide. And for proposals that move forward past the peer review panel, organizational management information is required. And it must be verified or re-verified financial management and internal controls. And this is in accordance with NIFA policy and 2 CFR. There are 2 ways to fulfill this requirement, either a current single audit or example documents as follows: 2 years of audited financial reports details of your cost accounting system, auditing arrangements, and salary compensation, a list of current or recent federal awards, and statement of purposes and powers. Next slide. The next few slides will cover cost sharing or matching. For the nutrition incentive program, matching is required on a dollar for dollar basis or 100%. Matching funds may come from tribal government, state government, territory government, local government, or private sources. Federal money cannot be used to match except for tribal agencies. And please note, federal money, that includes even pass-through money, federal money that goes through the state is still considered federal money. Tribal agency applicants may use funds provided to the Indian tribe or the tribal agency through a federal agency, including the Indian Health Service or other federal benefit, to satisfy all or part of the matching requirement. And the governing regulations are in Uniform Guidance, Subpart D and Subpart E. Next slide. Projects unable to meet the matching requirements will not be funded, or funding may be reduced. Regarding matching commitment documentation, we require a complete list of matching sources that must be secured and maintained at the grantee organization. And the responsibility of securing and expending matching funds rests with the grantee. To ensure compliance with matching requirements after an award is made, NIFA awards management staff may perform desk audits or site reviews where we will review matching documentation and expenditure reports. Next slide. Now, the next couple of slides cover some matching tips. So number one, matching must be documented for all years of the proposed project at the time the application is submitted. And the list should include matching sources, including the name of the organization that is providing the match, the dollar amount of the match, and the budget breakout of how the matching funds will be spent. 2, matching must be for costs incurred specifically for the project and during the project period of performance. 3, matching must be for costs that are normally allowable under the cost principles, or that are specifically identifiable and directly benefiting the project. 4, matching may be in-kind contributions, including third-party in-kind contributions. Next slide. Number 5, what is not an acceptable match? For funds that are provided by another organization for use on another similar project, which would be considered double dipping, is not allowed. Funds provided by another federal agency, federal funds cannot be matched to a federal award. Income expected to be earned during the project period. Indirect cost rates applied beyond the federal portion of the award. Indirect costs will be covered in the slide coming up. Contingency costs set aside for unexpected expenses or future usage or costs pending approval. And 50% of the state or territory SNAP or NAP administration cost. Matching may be the lease value of either tribal trusts and or fee lands, if applicable. And Indian tribal organizations may propose to use funds from another federal source to satisfy match. The Indian Self-Determination and Education Assistance Act of 1975 expressly permits this. In the case of a for-profit entity, the match shall not include services of an employee, salaries of an employee, or expenses covered by the for-profit employer are not allowed as a match. Next slide. The GusNIP program allows for full recovery of indirect costs based on a current federally negotiated indirect cost rate agreement. And So if you do not have a negotiated rate, you have three different options. You can request to negotiate from your cognizant agency. You can request a 10% de minimis rate, which is 10% of modified total direct cost, or you may waive indirect cost recovery. Indirect costs are calculated on the federal portion of the award only. Federal indirect costs calculated may be applied to either the federal portion of the award or the match portion. So say you calculate so much funds for on the federal portion only, whatever that amount is can be applied. You can put it on the federal portion and have zero and indirect costs for the match, or it can be the opposite. You can apply it to the match section and have zero indirect costs under the federal budget. For more information on the indirect cost process and allowable scenarios, please visit our website, nfa.usa.gov/indirect cost. Next slide. The next couple of slides will cover budget and justification. For the FY 2023 RFA, what is new for budget and justification? Total fruit and vegetable incentive dollars from both federal and non-federal funds must be summarized in the budget justification with clear affirmation of which budget category or categories were used to calculate totals. So for an example, a budget has incentives included in budget category F8, which is other direct costs, and also F5 budget category subawards contractual costs. The budget justification should clearly describe that incentives are the total of F8 and the portion of F5 that is specified as incentives in the budget. So this way we can clearly see the total incentives budgeted in the budget justification. Next slide. When forming a budget, 2 CFR 200 subpart E cost principles applies. For nutrition incentive, the R&R budget, total federal and non-federal is required, as you can see on the right of this slide. Separate justifications are required. So there should be a federal budget justification and a separate justification for matching costs. Please do not combine the narratives. The level of detail required to summarize and justify federal funds is also required for the matching funds. If a cost is unallowable on the federal budget, it is also unallowable as a match. Unallowed costs must be replaced for proposals that move forward past the peer review panel. For match, applicants must include attestation of nonprofit status for partners and collaborators' services, salaries, and expenses. Services of an employee, including salaries paid or expenses covered by an employer of a for-profit entity, are not allowed. Next slide. The RFA has a sub-award restriction. No more than 33% of the project, as determined by budget expenditures, may be sub-awarded without NIFA pre-approval. And if pre-approval is desired to have sub-awards greater than 33% of the, please contact the national program leader. Next slide. Only one GusNIP Nutrition Incentive Program application is allowed per applicant organization. Duplicate or multiple submissions are not allowed. NIFA will accept the last application received and disqualify previously submitted applications. If an applicant submits duplicate or multiple submissions, meeting the application deadline. Next slide. And here are some resources for applicants, which can be found on the NIFA GusNIP website or the Nutrition Incentive Hub's website for frequently asked questions, RFA webinars, and application resources. And next slide. And this slide has some additional grant resources where to find the funding opportunities, competitive grants flowchart, which you can see from the application, submitting an application all the way through proposals that are funded, additional resources, the NIFA policy guide, indirect costs, a guide for preparation of submitting an application, and information on awarded grants. And now I will pass the baton over to the NTAE.
Hi, everyone. My name is Erica Christensen Rommel, and I am the Director of Technical Assistance for the Nutrition Incentive Hub. I'm going to share a little bit about the supports that we offer to you all, both during the application period as well as once you become a grantee. Next slide, please. So the Nutrition Incentive Hub is a coalition of partners created by the NTAE, which is the Nutrition Incentive Program Training, Technical Assistance, Evaluation, and Information Center. We work in partnership with a number of organizations across the country to support nutrition incentive and produce prescription projects, both during the application phase as well as implementation stage. Next slide. So as you can see here, here's a little bit of an org chart to help orient you to all of the partners here that support you all through this process. The NTAE is led by our partners, the Gretchen Swanson Center for Nutrition. As the leads of the NTAE, they're responsible for leading, reporting, and evaluation of the overall GusNIP program, as well as providing one-on-one support to each of the grantees as they begin their evaluation of their projects. They collect a set of core metrics, which you will learn more about after the technical assistance portion. Fair Food Network, as I mentioned, we lead technical assistance and innovation support, and will be the primary ones providing support during the RFA period. We're joined by a number of partners, including the Farmers Market Coalition, Michigan Farmers Market Association, National Grocers Association Foundation, and DAISA Enterprises and the Food Trust to provide support across all areas of program implementation, including operations in these various entities in farmers markets, grocery stores, corner stores, and so forth. Next slide, please. So a little bit more about our core services. We work to resolve issues and reduce barriers through one-on-one support through the resources available on the Nutrition Incentive Hub website, webinars, and case studies. Through our Capacity Building and Innovation Fund, we work to grow the field and provide strategic investments in programs such as the GusNIP programs, as well as those interested in applying for the GusNIP program. And we really work to build the community across the GusNIP community through our communities of practice, field research, our databases, and our annual convenings. And as I mentioned, we provide support across program development, including strategic planning, nutrition education, communications, DEI, match funding support, program administration, and the RFA. Next slide, please. So just to share a little bit more about the one-on-one RFA support, if you have questions that are not answered here today, and are more focused on program design or implementation or the evaluation, please feel free to reach out to us at ta@nutritionincentivehub.org. To get started, we'll get you set up with a one-on-one consultation. We've included a list of some of the topics that we provide support on, but this is certainly not comprehensive. Topics that can include project planning and ideation, or interpretation of the GusNIP RFA, evaluation questions led by our partners at the Gretchen Swanson Center for Nutrition, SNAP policy questions, and so forth. I'll pass you over to my colleague Rachel Ho on the next slide, who will tell you a little bit more about the required NTAE consultation listed in the RFA, and as was mentioned earlier.
Thanks, Erica. Hi, everybody. My name is Rachel Ho. I'm with Nutrition Incentive Hub here at Fair Food Network. And I'm excited to tell you a little bit more about how to receive your letter of verification or support from the NTAE, which is a required part of your application. So as you've seen in the RFA, and as Ryan explained earlier, the GusNIP application requires all applicants to have a consultation session of about an hour with the GusNIP NTAE Center's Nutrition Incentive Hub, which is our team at Fair Food Network and our partners at Gretchen Swanson Center for Nutrition. And there's a few ways that you can meet this 1 hour requirement. And I'm going to share this list here, but then in a couple slides, I'm going to provide some resources and links where you can learn more about these. So what as Erica explained, what we hope to achieve in those sessions is it's an opportunity for you to work to ideate about your application together. We can talk about high-level questions that you have, sort of nuts and bolts with understanding the RFA. Really, think of it as an hour of free support for you to really iron out some of the questions that you have about your application as you're preparing for it. So the ways that you can meet this session are: 1, we offer several weekly topic-specific support sessions, which again, I'm going to share links soon. Those include sessions. Last week, we had a session about community-supported agriculture for your incentive project, but we have upcoming sessions about working with technology at brick and mortar locations, at grocery stores. We have an upcoming session about working with the IRB for the evaluation requirements for your application and so forth. And really the idea behind these sessions is they're hour-long sessions with one of our technical assistance partners to dig deeper into some specific topics and the frequently asked questions that we get from applicants in past years in preparing their applications. And those would be with you, the technical assistant provider, and multiple other applicants. The other option that some of you have already engaged with me on is scheduling a one-on-one consultation session with NTAE staff members. And the next slide, I'm going to tell you a little bit more how to get those sessions. But again, that would be a one-on-one session with someone from Gretchen Swanson or Fair Food Network to dig in deeper. And it mentions this on the last slide, but the session we're attending here today, this webinar led by NIFA, does not count towards your required 1 hour consultation for your application. So please note that you will have to schedule an additional 1 hour session with us in order to meet this requirement for your application. So next slide, please. Great, so this is how the process would go. So you can sort of get a 20,000-foot view of what to expect. So the first thing that you need to do is email us at ta@nutritionincentivehub.org. I'm going to put that email in the chat shortly. And when you email us, one of our teammates is going to ask you a few intake questions. They'll first ask you, are you applying for a nutrition incentive grant or a produce prescription grant? And we'll also ask you if you have evaluation related questions about your application. We typically divide up our support sessions between sort of the technical assistance and innovation team at Fair Food Network, so more program administration related questions, interpreting the RFA, and then also evaluation focused questions with our partners at the Gretchen Swanson Center for Nutrition. So depending on your answer, we'll then connect you with someone either at Gretchen Swanson or someone at Fair Food Network to answer your questions. And you'll receive a scheduling link, a calendar link more than likely, to schedule that session with us. And then we'll schedule the session. And then once you have that required 1 hour session, when you finish the session, you will receive a link to request your letter of support or verification. So know that you need to either attend one of the 1 hour topical support session or attend one of the 1 hour one-on-one consultation sessions in order to get a link that you will later use to request your letter of support or verification. So next slide, please. Great. So this is, again, if you remember anything from these couple of slides, this is the most important slide. So you, as the applicant for a GusNIP Nutrition Incentive Grant, are responsible for you're responsible for scheduling your 1 hour required consultation with the NTAE, which again can either be accomplished through a support session or a one-on-one consultation. 2, you're required to request your letter of support at the end of those sessions, and we will provide you with that link during the session. And 3, and perhaps the most important part, is that you are required to include the letter that you receive from us in field 12 of your application. So there's not only the scheduling, the attending, but you will receive a letter over email that you must attach to your application. And note that this letter of support is a core part of NIFA's administrative review of your application, and your application will more than likely not pass NIFA's it will not pass, sorry about that, it will not pass the administrative review if you do not include this letter of support. So it is a core part of your application. And if you have any questions about this, please email us at TA@nutritionincentivehub.org. And after I'm done speaking, I'm going to put a couple different links in the chat box about where to find out about these letters, about these support opportunities, and how to get in touch with us at the email address. So next slide, please. Great. So a little bit about the offerings that we have for you as you put together your application beyond this letter of support. So these, once you receive the PDF, and I'm also going to put these in the chat later, we have a website, the nutritionincentivehub.org website, and there's a whole array of resources to help you putting together your application. So we have a series of application guides and templates, including documents on how to understand the RFA, templates for some of the required parts of the application, resources on evaluation, resources on budgeting, and also match. Again, we have these topical support sessions, so sort of group sessions on frequently asked questions around the RFA that count for your required consultation. And again, more information on the letter of verification. It is pretty clear that it is important for you all to engage with us with this one-on-one consultation and to request this letter of support. And yes, next slide, please. And the final way to engage with us or some more opportunities to engage with us if you're interested in the Nutrition Incentive Hub. We not only offer support for applicants during the RFA, but as Erica mentioned, we support you all throughout your grant cycle. So if you're interested in the other work that we do and the other networking opportunities that we offer, these links will be available to you in the slide deck. We have a newsletter that comes out every week that shares funding opportunities, conferences, job opportunities. We have discussion boards that may be useful to you on different topics of interest. We have a repository of other events and webinars that we've hosted beyond just the RFA. We have communities of practice, which are practitioner-led learning sessions around topics like prescriptions, working in brick and mortar, let's see, and several others that you can see listed there. And then generally, a lot of information came your way during this session. So any questions or comments, just email us at nutritionincentivehub.org, and we can help you with applying for this grant or just accessing any of the resources that we have or any of our technical assistance partners. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat box, send us an email, but I'm really looking forward to meeting a lot of you through these consultation sessions. So don't be shy and please reach out to us. We are here to help. And next slide, I believe I'm now passing it on to my colleagues at the Gresham Swanson Center. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks, Rachel, and thanks everyone for being here today. My name is Holly Ann Fricke, and I'm an associate scientist at the Gretchen Swanson Center for Nutrition and with the NTAE. So our overarching goal with reporting and evaluation, or R&E, as you'll hear and see it abbreviated quite often, is to develop systems and collaborations to support grantees in meeting the R&E requirements, while also building sustainability and capacity. So in order to do this, we provide a number of core services, as you can see here on the slide. One thing in particular to note is that each GusNIP grantee will be assigned a program advisor, and that person will serve as your main point of contact to guide you through the R&E process from start to finish of your grant. We also have survey and reporting advisors to help navigate the participant level survey and the firm level reporting pieces specifically. Some of the key tasks that we help grantees with include IRB or human subjects protection, tailoring the core metrics for your project, analyzing aggregate results and reporting to USDA and Congress, and more. Next slide, please. So on page 22 of this year's RFA, you'll see this list of reporting and evaluation requirements. The first one, as has been discussed throughout the presentation today, is to have a consultation session with a representative from the NTAE to cover any questions and provide guidance, as our partners at Fair Food Network just outlined. All NI project types are required to cooperate with the NTAE Center and USDA as needed. This generally means that core firm and participant level data are collected and reported to us, but may also include meeting with the NTAE or USDA to review project plans or R&E specific protocols, or providing documentation upon request. GusNIP standard projects and GusNIP large scale projects are additionally required to contribute to the core minimum data set, which includes firm level reporting and participant level surveying annually. Lastly, to facilitate firm level reporting, grantees are required to have a data use agreement or an MOU with each firm or sub-grantee that guarantees each firm will provide the necessary information. Next slide, please. So this table from page 23 of the RFA outlines most of just what I just said, and Ryan also covered it earlier. GusNIP pilot projects are not responsible for contributing to the core minimum data set, although we welcome working with any pilot program that wishes to collect data. Instead, pilots are responsible for a self-assessment or process evaluation, and these self-assessments will differ widely depending on the project. Generally, a process evaluation may include tracking of milestones achieved along the way, or other simple metrics such as checklists that monitor how your NI project is implemented, whether all of the components were delivered as intended, etc. We could spend a lot of time talking about what a self-assessment could be, but broadly it looks at implementation or the resources, inputs, and activities portion of your logic model rather than the outcomes. Next slide, please. Wanted to take a moment to describe the value and reasoning behind the core metrics that you've likely read about in the RFA and explored further on our website. Demonstrating aggregate program impact of nutrition incentive and produce prescription projects contributes to the evidence supporting these programs. In turn, this has consequences for policy, funding, and program awareness. Having common core metrics allows us to compare apples to apples and to dissect what programmatic features work best under which conditions. The core metrics include both participant level data in the form of surveys and firm level data, which are data around site characteristics and incentive transactions. Both sets of core metrics are derived from legislative and RFA language. In developing the core metrics originally, we weighed these requirements by triangulating what grantees had proposed in their narratives, what programs have collected in the past, the scientific robustness of specific measures, including being well tested in low-income populations, and grantee capacity. Next slide, please. So like I mentioned, there are two pieces of the comprehensive evaluation. The first is the participant level, which is done in the form of a survey. The Nutrition Incentive Core Survey consists of about 30 items with the main goal of measuring fruit and vegetable consumption and food insecurity, along with incentive program use, sociodemographics, and a few other items. We'll put a link in the chat that describes the survey and the rationale for each module in more detail. Next slide. The number of surveys that are required from each grantee is based on the ability to detect a quarter cup per day difference in fruit and vegetable intake. For nutrition incentive grantees, this means collecting either 100 or 150 surveys from a subsample of your participants in each year of your grant period, depending on the project type. Pilot projects, again, are not required to collect surveys. Upon award, you will be assigned a program advisor from the NTAE who will work with your team on a one-on-one basis to finalize a sampling plan based on your project's logistics. An ideal sample might look like collecting about 20 surveys from each from 5 firms in order to collect 100 surveys, as an example. Next slide, please. The second part of the evaluation are what we call firm level core metrics. So these are data reported from firms on a monthly basis and from the grantee and firms on an annual basis. These data will be reported through a secure web-based portal. Again, we'll put a link in the chat with more detailed information on these metrics. If you are a current GusNIP, GusCRR, or ARPA grantee and or a former FINI grantee, these required firm metrics should look largely familiar to you. Next slide, please. Obtaining Institutional Review Board or IRB approval is the final component of the required evaluation. As all NI grantees will be collecting data from human subjects via the survey, IRB is required for all NI grantees. This does not need to happen as part of your GusNIP proposal, but it is a good thing to start thinking about, especially if you have never worked with an IRB before. The NTAE can help guide you in this process following award notification. More information can be found at the link that we'll put in the chat right now. Next slide, please. Lastly, I just want to mention that the NTAE recommends adding a line item in your proposed budget for reporting and evaluation, which might include IRB costs, an external evaluator, and data collection costs like participant stipends, among other things. We suggest planning for evaluation to be about 10% of your total budget, depending on the scope of your proposed project. We have a great resource on our website to help you think through all of the possible costs associated with reporting and evaluation that can help with building your budget. We'll link to that in the chat. And this is also a great topic for a one-on-one consultation call with the NTAE if you have specific questions. Next slide. In closing, please feel free to reach out either to the TA&I team or the R&E teams with any questions at the email addresses listed here, as well as check out our website for all the resources we talked through today and many more. Thank you.
And I'll turn it over to our colleague at Food Nutrition Service, Gabriel Sandler.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gabriel Sandler. I am a program analyst for the Food and Nutrition Service and help with SNAP-related policy questions for GusNIP. Next slide, please. So our role at Food and Nutrition Service in relationship to GusNIP is to provide SNAP policy guidance and support NEFA. We do policy oversight, policy oversight related to issuance and redemption of incentives, and consider the impact on state EBT and retailer point of sale systems. Next slide, please. Oh, we're on a different slide than you. I'm sorry, I just need a second, double check that I'm in the right place in my presentation. It looks like I am not. Okay, well, I can go from what's on the screen. There are some responsibilities that grantees and then subsequently the partner firms have when implementing GusNIP, at least from a SNAP FNS angle. You have to comply with all GusNIP and SNAP program rules and requirements. If you're new to GusNIP, some of the SNAP policy things might be a little fresh, but it's really important to review the RFA closely and dig in on them specifically. You have to train your staff at the partner firms, including on SNAP retailer policy, which you can find in training videos and guides online. Instances of non-compliance for the partner firms that you work with can result in fines and disqualification, can result in discontinuation of GusNIP grant itself, and it may inhibit your ability to receive funds in the future. So while going through the RFA, when you see the SNAP things, know that those apply to you equally. Next slide, please. Oh.
My apologies. Give us 1 second here. There were some technical difficulties.
Okay, it appears that we're good. Take a second here to get reoriented. So it looks like we're back on the presentation. So yeah, just the things I'd like to go over a little more specifically are disallowed project designs that are not compatible with SNAP policy. We'll get into how GusNIP awardees go about reporting their partner firms. We'll discuss the nuances and differences between SNAP and EBT transactions, review some of the incentive models that we've talked about today, and then have space for questions. Next slide, please. So, disallowed project designs that what we need to go over and avoid. No purchasing of fruit and vegetables for your partner firms with GusNIP awardee money. The money is for everything discussed in the RFA, including the incentives itself. We cannot be using the GusNIP grant money to purchase POS equipment for SNAP authorized partner firms. You cannot mandate that recipients participate in an evaluation or survey in order to receive the incentives. You can advertise it, request it, but you may not mandate it. And right now, there are not e-tokens or any conversion of SNAP benefits allowed for GusNIP firms. Next slide, please. Broadly speaking, and we've hit on a lot of this today, at the end of the day, there are just some proposals that are not compliant with SNAP rules, and we won't be able to advance them without modification. So make sure that your designs are within the allowed models and are SNAP compliant. There are some proposals that might come with extra requirements to be SNAP compliant, and that's what our office's role is in helping NIFA and GusNIP awardees. We're really here to clarify questions when they come up. We meet with NIFA regularly, and we're really excited for the organizations that come through this grant program. Next slide, please. So there are some key elements of project design that are a little more technical beyond just complying with the RFA. There's refunds, and there's the EBT cards themselves. How a project deals with refunds and EBT transactions must be fully fleshed out in your proposal. You must detail how a SNAP transaction will trigger the incentive and how refunds will be handled to ensure that households are not able to get the incentive without the required SNAP purchase. Next slide, please. So, with refunds of food purchased with SNAP tokens and SNAP benefits must be returned to the SNAP household EBT card through a refund transaction on an EBT POS machine. The refund should also subtract any earned GusNIP incentives. Refunds for food items purchased with SNAP benefits or with tokens can never be made in cash. Providing cash refunds for SNAP tokens or food purchased with SNAP benefits is considered a serious violation of SNAP rules and can have lasting legal ramifications for any firm engaging in such practices. Next slide, please. Now, that was a bunch of refund transaction jargon. I know it's a little technical sounding, so we did prepare a specific example. You'll see in this proposal, a shopper wants to buy $5 bag of apples with their SNAP benefits. And at the point of purchase, the SNAP incentive kicks in with a 50% discount at the point of sale. This is a regular transaction that might result in a refund. If they only pay $2.50 for the bag of apples with SNAP benefits, they're only getting $2.50 back on their EBT card. You can see that in this case, the incentive was subtracted from the refund. Your proposals must explain how you will identify what was bought with what, whether that be the SNAP benefits or the incentive money. Next slide, please. So many of your proposals or markets might be using script tokens to deliver your incentive. So here's a quick example of a refund process involving script. The shopper must return an equal amount of SNAP and incentive tokens. This is one example of a compliant process. Whatever program design your application proposes, you must demonstrate how you will ensure this outcome. We know that refunds at markets are pretty rare, but because we are talking about transaction devices, you have to demonstrate how it might go through successfully. And it's a great way to familiarize yourself with the nuances of SNAP policy and transaction. Next slide, please. So, EBT cards where SNAP benefits are hosted. EBT cards may not be altered in any way. They are the property of the state SNAP agency. Please do not place barcodes or stickers on your EBT cards as part of your project. This could be interpreted as showing some kind of affiliation or preference. Altering the card in any form may unintentionally indicate the federal government or state agency is endorsing certain goods, services, or even certain retailers over others. Next slide, please. So SNAP and EBT, while intertwined, are not the same. I want to go over some situations that demonstrate their differences and show why we see a lot of confusion and questions around this area, because we see people refer to them interchangeably. Households may be receiving SNAP benefits and cash assistance on one EBT card. They may be receiving cash assistance, but no SNAP benefit on an EBT card. A store that accepts EBT might not be SNAP authorized, and that's one of the areas where we do see a lot of confusion. Next slide, please. Any proposal dealing with SNAP and EBT must address a method for identifying transactions. Applicants have to show how they'll differentiate between cash benefits and SNAP benefits, SNAP authorized stores and non-authorized stores, and SNAP eligible food items versus ineligible items. Only SNAP purchases may trigger incentives, and SNAP benefits may only be used at SNAP authorized stores for SNAP eligible food items. If there's any confusion in the application, please bring it to us and we'll help you work through it. Next slide, please. There are 3 allowable models for incentives to be earned and redeemed. The purchase of GusNIP eligible fruits or vegetables triggers a GusNIP incentive, which can then be used to purchase more GusNIP eligible fruits and vegetables. That's model number 1. Model number 2, any SNAP eligible food purchase triggers a GusNIP incentive, which can then be used to purchase GusNIP eligible fruits and vegetables. That's number 2. Number 3, the purchase of GusNIP eligible fruits and vegetables triggers a GusNIP incentive, which can then be used to purchase any SNAP eligible food. And you should be able to find these incentive models set out in even more detail in the RFA. Next slide, please. So let's talk about CSAs, community supported agriculture. We've seen a lot of questions around CSAs and a lot of proposals incorporating them. So many GusNIP applications have proposed a community supported agriculture model. SNAP policy, however, does affect how a CSA might be normally executed. The window between a SNAP purchase and receiving the actual food is limited to 14 days. And SNAP benefits may only be used for food purchases, not membership fees. We know that many CSAs are based on a longer subscription model. If you want to incorporate aspects of a CSA in your proposal, you can, but please keep this 14-day window in mind. And if you are going to take aspects of a CSA in your proposal, please clarify how you'll meet this 14-day transaction window. Next slide. If you have any questions for GusNIP from the SNAP policy side, you see the email there, and Nifa will take it from here. Sorry for the technical confusion on my part at the beginning, but we're really excited to work with you. We're happy to answer your questions, and we're big fans of this program and its outcomes.
Thank you, Gabriel. And thank you to all for participating in the technical assistant webinar. Now we'd like to take some time to answer some questions. And to be respectful of everyone's time, we will answer questions until 4:30 Eastern time. If we run out of time or are not able to get to your question, please feel free to email us. You have our contact information there.
The first question that has come through the chat is a clarification around what geographies are eligible to apply to the nutrition incentive program. So I want to clarify for everyone that any state, the District of Columbia, and any territory that is implementing either SNAP or the Nutrition Assistance Program block grants may apply. You're absolutely correct that there are underrepresented geographies that are prioritized, but all may apply to the program. So thank you for the opportunity to clarify that. And a second question that came through the chat is about developing technology enhancements and benefit redemption enhancements during the grant period. So the question is, if currently SNAP authorized firms are interested in being approved to be part of the SNAP online purchasing pilot so that they can accept SNAP benefits via an online transaction, can this be part of a GusNIP proposal that would occur during a multi-year grant period. And the answer to that is yes, right? This can be part of a vision of activities that would happen throughout that grant period. And Gabriel, if you have anything that would be really beneficial from your lens to clarify, that goal of currently being SNAP authorized and wanting to also go through the authorization process to be part of the online purchasing pilot, we would welcome that.
Yeah, my understanding is that, they're separate application processes. So you're welcome to go through one and then the other. It's generally difficult to revise a GusNIP project once it's being implemented. So I would keep that in mind. Generally we want to see the project play out in the way that it was proposed so that there aren't issues of like new compliance, but you're certainly able to go through those processes.
Thank you, Gabriel. Those are all the questions that I've seen in the chat so far that were not direct resource requests that have been answered. If there are any additional questions, please feel free to enter them. And of course, also, right, if you need to clarify a question, you're welcome to raise your hand and come off mute to ask that question too.
Hi, can I ask a question? I had a question about the refunds for SNAP. I was thinking what largely we rely on the firms to be trained, properly trained. We train them on refunds. Is that an appropriate plan to write into the narrative to say that we're going to provide training if we see something that's really like weird looking, then we'll investigate further?
Yeah, I mean, if you're working with a SNAP authorized firm, they should be trained on processing refunds. However, because there is the added layer of the incentive, you need to, in your proposal, explain how you ensure that the appropriate amount of SNAP benefit and incentive money is returned. So generally in proposals, we'd like to see some thoroughness in breaking down that transaction process.
Okay, thank you.
And I would like to reiterate that make sure you still describe what the process is, even if it is administered by somebody else. You still want to describe it as you would to anybody that's not familiar with your program.
I'll also clarify that when we're talking about fruits and vegetables for the nutrition incentive program, that is inclusive of beans and legumes that are classified as vegetables by the dietary guidelines. And if you'd like more clarity on a specific crop, you're welcome to reach out to the NTAE as well as to reach out to NIFA. And there's also just a question of clarifying, what is the model for the nutrition incentive program versus the produce prescription program, which we'll do the RFA webinar on the produce prescription program actually next week, same time, same place. But the question is, for the produce prescription program, does an organization need to be receiving SNAP? And the specific eligible individuals, to participate in a produce prescription program, they need to be eligible for SNAP. They do not need to be enrolled. That's sort of half of the eligibility. The second half would be if they're at risk for managing a diet-related disease. But also, right, produce prescription has a very different structure. It has a no purchase necessary, right? You know, that prescription serves as a voucher for fresh fruits and vegetables. So we're happy to tell you more later, and we'll reiterate what the links are if others are interested in registering for the produce prescription webinar.
Hello.
Yes, did we lose you? Can you hear us?
I think you're on mute.
You're still muted.
Yashika.
Hello. Can you hear me now? I'm sorry. I'm actually in the middle of another project because I do real estate. But I just had a quick question. So which one of these grants would I be applying for if I've already built the facility, but I haven't, okay, I have an aquaponics garden. So I built the greenhouse and I have the aquaponics garden inside of a shed because it's a really, really underdeveloped area. It's underprivileged. And so if I put it in there, it's gonna get vandalized. So the only thing I need is a 10-foot fence. It's like 150 feet. So which one of these grants could I apply for to be able to make that happen? Because I've already got everything I need to grow the food. I got the system, I got the fish, I got the location. I have everything except for a 10-foot fence, which you have to have when you're growing food.
Yep.
And also, I've already teamed up with SIUE. I have multiple sclerosis, so I won't be able to run it. So SIUE is going to get students from their school to actually run the aquaponics system. I purchased the house across the street from it, and they're going to build like a educational facility for them to teach at where they can see the greenhouse and then learn about it across the street. So which grant should I be applying for if I'm doing something like that?
Yeah, I'll provide my contact information in the chat, and I'm happy to speak with you offline. It sounds like it may be a better fit for an education and workforce development grant or a rural development grant as well. And I'm happy to connect you with the national program leaders to run those programs.
Well, I really appreciate it. And thank you. That's all I wanted.
Any other questions? Ryan, do you mind putting the last slide up again with all the contact information?
Most definitely.
Thank you. So I know this is a lot to capture. We've been talking for an hour and a half, so you probably need to digest it a little bit more. The information will be posted on our website, the recording and the slides. So if you do have an opportunity and think about it some more, have some more questions, please feel free to reach out to the GusNIP team or even the NTAE team or the grant management team if you have any questions about budget and how to fill out our famous federal budget form. So we're here to help and support, but I know we provide a lot of information, so let us know.
Thank you all so much for joining us today. Take care.